Hello, today we're going to talk about the Globalscape EFT SFTP listener. First we're going to talk about how to turn it on and enable and configure it. Then we'll go over the SFTP ciphers that you should be using. And then finally we'll talk about the authentication with SFTP. So let's go to a live demo. Here we are in the EFT Administrator console. In order to use the SFTP listener, first we have to make sure that it's licensed on our server. We'll go to the Help menu and down to Activate SFTP module. You can click on this option and input your license key in order to register this module. It's grayed out on this server, indicating that our module is already registered. We can verify that by going to About EFT Server, and here we can see our server license information. We can scroll down to the SFTP area, see that we have a license key input here already, meaning that it is licensed and ready to be used. Now, our first step in configuring SFTP will be to go to the local host setting here and then the security tab on the right. This will give us access to see what SSH algorithms are in use by the server. And our EFT best practices state that you want to disable any ciphers that are less than 256 bits here. Under the MAX and KEX, you want to disable everything that says SHA-1. This will ensure that you're only using the most secure algorithms available. You can also enable FIPS mode, which will automatically determine which keys are allowed and disallowed, and not using any of the older ciphers that are less secure. Next step, we'll go to our site level here and our Connections tab on the right. This is where we can turn on and enable the SFTP listener by checking this box here. We can also determine what port it's going to listen to. Port 22 is standard and default for SFTP, but you can change this to any other port number that you need to use. Next, we'll click on the SFTP config button, and this is where we can see our site key for our SFTP listener. If you have an SSH key that you want to use already, you can import that through the SSH key manager, which is accessible here. Select the key that you want to use, and then set that to be your site key here. If you don't already have an SSH key you want to use for your site key, you can create one here under the Create New Key option. This will allow you to choose the key type and length. You can create RSA keys, which are the most compatible for most clients, but our best practices recommend using a more secure modern key type like the elliptical curve keys, which are more secure and allow for faster authentication as well. So once you've set your key types here and click on OK, and then we click Apply down at the bottom of the screen here, and now our SFTP listener is turned on. And next we'll head over to our authentication options. So we'll expand our site and our user settings templates. This is where we set SFTP authentication. We have it enabled here, so we click on the SFTP auth button, and this is where we can see our different authentication options. So by default, it's set to password only, but you can change that to SSH key only, or for two-factor authentication, you can set it to use a public key and a password for authentication. Now that we have these options set, we're ready to receive incoming SFTP connections.